In this expansive and deeply personal conversation, Mel Robbins explores a wide range of topics surrounding human behavior, mental health, anxiety, chronic stress, resilience, relationships, neurodivergence, and self-compassion. Drawing from personal experience, scientific research, and practical tools, she provides insights into overcoming internal barriers such as imposter syndrome, chronic anxiety, and self-limiting beliefs. The discussion also touches on societal dynamics, communication challenges, and the importance of authenticity, offering hope and actionable strategies for thriving in uncertain times. Mel opens with a metaphor likening societal dynamics to the Keynesian beauty contest, where individuals not only rank what they find beautiful, but also guess how others perceive beauty. This concept parallels how people often modify their opinions to align with what they perceive as socially acceptable or dominant. She highlights how a small percentage of extreme voices dominate conversations on platforms like Twitter, leading to collective self-silencing among the majority who desire harmony and authentic connection but fear social rejection or ostracism. This self-silencing is based on the mistaken belief that silence implies agreement, whereas in reality, most people share common values and aspirations. A significant portion of the discussion centers on the hidden epidemic of chronic stress affecting approximately 83% of American adults, according to Harvard researcher Dr. Aditi Nurakarve. Mel explains how the pandemic has exacerbated chronic stress levels by placing individuals in sustained states of threat and anxiety, activating the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This constant activation impairs the prefrontal cortex's function, the area responsible for rational decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation. Mel shares personal anecdotes and research evidence to illustrate how chronic stress contributes to anxiety, impaired focus, and a pervasive sense of discouragement in modern life. Mel reframes anxiety as an alarm system designed to alert us to present challenges, distinguishing between performance anxiety, which can be beneficial, and chronic anxiety, which manifests as pervasive worry and separation from one's inner resources. She references Dr. Russell Kennedy's work, which describes anxiety as a form of separation anxiety, not from others, but from oneself. Anxiety arises when we feel disconnected from our capacity to handle uncertainty or adversity. In moments of alarm, the key is to consciously reconnect with our ability to cope, thus quieting the nervous system and reducing panic. The conversation delves into human inability to tolerate uncertainty and the powerful link between anxiety and uncertainty. Mel introduces the concept of compensatory control, where people seek patterns or create narratives, sometimes leading to conspiracy theories, to regain a sense of control when faced with ambiguous situations, such as a medical diagnosis or global crises like pandemics. She explains how modern life's blend of acute predictability, immediate information access, and long-term chaos, global events, pandemics, AI disruption, creates an illusion of control that ultimately leads to frustration and anxiety when reality proves uncontrollable. Mel discusses groundbreaking research by David Robson and Dr. Aaliyah Crum that reveals the profound impact of mindset on physiological and psychological outcomes. One striking example involves individuals who believe they possess a genetic mutation that enhances athletic performance, performing better, even when not actually carrying the mutation, purely because of their expectations. Similarly, in gluten sensitivity studies, people who believed they consumed gluten exhibited symptoms despite no gluten being present. These findings highlight that expectations can shape physical experiences and underscore the therapeutic potential of deliberately shifting mental settings, such as adopting the affirmation, "I will be okay, no matter what happens." This affirmation serves as a central mental tool that Mel embraces from a retreat experience. It encapsulates an internal sense of safety and resilience, redefining safety not as an absence of adversity, but as confidence in one's capacity to endure and grow through hardship. The phrase acts as a mental lever to reset the stress response, signal calmness, and foster acceptance of life's unpredictability. This mindset invites individuals to embrace challenges while maintaining a grounded belief in their ability to overcome them. Mel shares her personal struggles with anxiety, postpartum depression, and navigating neurodivergence as both an adult and a parent. She openly reflects on mistakes made while supporting anxious children and emphasizes the importance of professional therapy and self-care. Through stories of her son Oakley's ADHD and dyslexia diagnosis and her own late realization of having ADHD, she sheds light on how misunderstood neurodivergence can fuel anxiety and feelings of inadequacy. Her experience reveals how increased self-awareness and appropriate support can profoundly transform one's life trajectory. The discussion introduces the region beta paradox, which explains why people often stick with uncomfortable but familiar life situations rather than making challenging changes, even if the change would be beneficial. Mel describes how a zone of comfortable complacency can trap individuals in stagnant situations, while sometimes hitting a lower threshold of discomfort or crisis can catalyze meaningful transformation. The paradox highlights the complex relationship between pain, motivation, and growth. Mel candidly discusses her late diagnosis of ADHD and how undiagnosed neurodiversity affected her academic and personal life, contributing to anxiety and feelings of failure. She contextualizes her experience within a broader societal issue where girls and women are often underdiagnosed compared to boys due to different behavioral presentations. She advocates for understanding that poor academic or behavioral performance often signals a neurological difference, not a character flaw, and emphasizing the importance of adapting environments and expectations to diverse brain wiring. Exploring personal growth, Mel asserts that motivation is unreliable and insufficient for sustained change. Instead, intentionality and ruthless commitment to consistent action drive success. She defines ruthless compassion as applying high standards and excellence for oneself and others, balanced with self-awareness and acceptance. This approach rejects perfectionism and embraces incremental progress, emphasizing that consistent decisions over time yield transformative results. One of Mel's key practical tools is the let them, let me theory, which encourages separating what others do from one's own response. Let them means accepting people as they are, without unrealistic expectations of change, especially when dealing with difficult personalities, including those with narcissistic traits often rooted in childhood trauma. Let me emphasizes personal responsibility to choose one's reactions and boundaries consciously. This framework fosters compassion by recognizing that people often behave from survival-based brain patterns rather than conscious choice. It also empowers individuals to decide how and whether to engage, offering a path out of reactive conflict and judgment by focusing on what one can control. Mel highlights the importance of managing relationships with challenging family members by accepting their limitations and choosing when and how to engage. She underscores the value of clear boundaries, personal agency, and understanding that change happens only when individuals are ready. This acceptance reduces emotional bracing and opens space for authentic presence and choice, transforming relational dynamics even in difficult contexts, such as family gatherings or intergenerational divides. The conversation recounts research on the science of influence, illustrating how giving others the dignity of making their own choices can be more effective than overt persuasion. Mel shares examples from workplace behavior and comedy writing where allowing someone to think it was their idea leads to better outcomes than direct instruction or pressure. This underscores the principle that autonomy and empowerment are critical levers in social influence and behavior change. Mel reflects on how harsh self-criticism delayed her progress and how cultivating self-compassion accelerates growth and resilience. She explains that celebrating small wins, recognizing progress, and shifting away from a punitive internal dialogue create momentum. This compassionate approach reduces the roadblocks of shame and negative self-judgment, enabling sustained effort and improved mental health. Throughout the dialogue, Mel emphasizes the art of balancing intention and acceptance, autonomy and empathy, and high standards with grace. She advocates for clear responsibility over one's thoughts and actions while accepting that others have their own paths. This balance fosters authentic relationships, reduces unnecessary conflict, and promotes personal growth by committing to excellence without striving for impossible perfection. Drawing on Dr. Paul Kahn's research on childhood development, Mel elaborates on the attribution window during which children are unable to separate their own actions from others' emotional states. often leading to an internalized sense that someone is mad at me. This early conditioning shapes lifelong patterns of anxiety, hypervigilance, and emotional reactivity. She also shares a compelling story from a human performance coach, illustrating how children may cry to invite comfort rather than express anger, as anger can push others away. This helps explain why many adults struggle to express legitimate anger, instead cycling through sadness or anxiety, shaping emotional regulation strategies. Mel explores relationship dynamics through concepts like the Michelangelo effect, where partners ideally sculpt and support each other's best selves without attempting to fundamentally change who they are. She stresses the importance of loving people as they are, not who they could become. The divorce paradox is discussed, revealing that the manner of disagreements often predicts relationship longevity more than moments of happiness alone. Successful relationships hinge on the ability to navigate conflict constructively rather than avoiding or escalating it. Mel recounts the journey of discovering her and her son's ADHD and dyslexia, exposing a systemic blind spot in recognizing neurodivergence in girls and women. She speaks about the liberating process of diagnosis and how it reframes past struggles as not personal failings, but brain wiring differences requiring understanding and accommodations. She underscores the need for advocacy and better support systems in schools and families, emphasizing that difficulty in focus or behavior often signals unmet neurological needs rather than laziness or defiance. Mel highlights how pain and hardship often catalyze growth and clarity, teaching that resilience is built through accumulated experiences. She encourages listeners to confront difficult truths, make decisive changes, and persist consistently, even when motivation wanes. She advocates for tools and structures that support action regardless of mood or external circumstances, emphasizing that waiting for motivation is a trap and that success stems from disciplined choices aligned with personal values. Implicit in the discussion is the theme of overcoming imposter syndrome by shifting mental settings, embracing self-compassion, and acknowledging one's capacity to handle adversity. Mel's insights offer a roadmap to transform the fear of inadequacy into confident action through reframing anxiety, setting intentions, and recognizing neurodivergence as a strength rather than a defect. Mel weaves in research illustrating how expectations affect not just psychological states, but physiological outcomes, such as immune response and athletic performance. She points to this as hopeful evidence that individuals can exert powerful influence over their well-being by consciously shaping their beliefs and mindset. Safety is redefined not as the absence of harm, but as the confidence and capacity to endure and recover from challenges. This mindset helps individuals face life's inevitable hardships with courage and stability. Mel closes with reflections on priorities shaped by near-loss experiences, underscoring what truly matters: relationships, meaningful impact, and living authentically. She encourages embracing the journey with honesty, perseverance, and compassion to build a life of fulfillment and resilience.